Hello, hello. Welcome to the Mother Daze podcast. I went very high. That was like very soprano. Welcome to the Mother Daze podcast. I'm Teresa Palmer.
And I'm Sarah Wright Olsen. Hi, Daisies.
Hi, Daisies. Sarah was having a little giggle because she was like, have you edited the episode yet? And I was like, no, I haven't got around to doing that yet. and then what did you say?
And then I said, oh yeah, we were making jokes about how I'll definitely have a baby in my arms by the time you get back to Australia. Well, guys, she's in Australia and here I am. Hold on.
Oh, there's a bomb. Woo! This baby's taking its time. It's like, I like it in there. You have made such a cozy home for this baby. And it's like, I'm enjoying this. Why
Baby
come out right
is
now?
so happy. Baby's so happy in there.
I know. But then again, by the time this comes out, it's going to be like a week from now. So who knows? We're not gonna jinx it. Whatever. Babies decide
every week
when they want to come.
My OB's like, oh, we should book our appointment for next week, but we won't need it. And I'm like, okay.
Can you stop saying that?
I know. I was like, well, tomorrow's my appointment.
But we also have a friend. We know this girl who we follow on Instagram, who we've both spent a lot of time with. She's gotta be close to 42 weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm doing that thing where I'm purposely not texting her at all or DMing her, but I'll go and quickly check on Instagram. And then I'm like, okay, I'm just not going to say anything. I'm not going to be the person that is like, so how's it going? Sarah was just telling me off air about the reactions to her belly in public.
You guys, I get the craziest reactions to my stomach. I walk past people's tables and they stop talking and they look at me like I'm an alien.
Should we help her give birth now? Should we do this?
This older gentleman yesterday, I basically just ignored him. I didn't even look at his face because his reaction in my peripheral was so insane. He was like, whoa, are you gonna be okay? And I said nothing. God. And then this woman who was behind him made this why would you say that face? And I just kind of smiled and, sort of looked down. And then he couldn't concentrate on anything at the table he was at. He just kept being looking over at me. And I don't know. It's so funny. At this stage, so many people, I'll walk past a group and everyone stops talking. They just stop talking and their mouths are agape. And I'm like, is it that crazy? Is it that insane?
No,
do I look that bananas?
Who have twins, they must have this all the time. I cannot imagine. I would just have a sign on my stomach yes, it's twins, okay? Oh my God.
I know. I was like, well,
there's just one in there. Thank you.
I felt a little funny because I always to go grab coffee, in this new state of life that we're in. Eric and I, we are living in a town that's much smaller and more chill, and drop off used to take something like 45 minutes to an hour and a half round trip. It was a whole thing, dropping off all the kids, and now it takes 10 minutes. And so we have all this time in the morning to go have coffee together and sit down and it's a little bit more, it feels a little more European, where you go and have a coffee with your partner or whatever, or the friend. So we do that a lot. And this morning I was like, do I want to go? Like, I don't know if I want to deal with like all the people who are going to walk by and be like, whoa, when are you due? And I'm like, days ago.
You're like, thank you.
Thanks, I'm good. You know, like
I'm well aware, like, everyone.
Any
thank
day
you.
now, right? That must be so, how are you feeling? And they're all expecting me to say, I feel like shit. And instead, every time, you know what I say? I feel amazing. Thanks for asking.
Oh my God, yes.
Every single time. I'm like, I feel so good.
Like,
and by the way,
good.
I do. I'm like so grateful to not be sick anymore that I'm like, I feel amazing. You know?
And I
believe that.
I always think, because you never know if this is your last baby or not, right? And I always think when I start like getting into the place where I'm like, when is this baby coming? Like, what's going on? I'm always like, cherish this, because one day this is going to be a memory that we look back on and we're like, remember those days? Like, remember feeling the baby in your tummy. And there is no better, more magical feeling, I think, than feeling this little thing within you kicking in different places, and you get to imagine like what they're doing in there. Are they rolling around? Are they? It's so, I had that experience this morning. We were really jet lagged and I popped up, and it's so funny. I don't know how to even explain this, but you know, you were saying to me about the telepathy tapes, right? And Sonia messaged me about these. Sonia is Sarah's nanny and our friend.
And my other life partner and doula.
Yes, exactly. And doula. And she was like, you're going to love this. And it's about how people communicate in different ways, like when they don't have language, like specifically kids with autism. And I swear to you, and I'm sure this has happened to you as well, I can just think about the baby and have a thought like, oh, I haven't felt you in a minute. Like, hey, Baba, just checking in. And the baby responds to me.
Yeah.
It's so wild. And I was trying to explain it to Mark this morning. I woke up at like 5 a.m. because actually earlier, like maybe 4:30, because we're jet lagged. And then I thought about, I was like, oh, I wonder when this little baby's going to wake up and when I'm going to feel this baby. And I thought about like, oh, are you awake in there? Are you awake in there? And then suddenly it was like, boom, 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 bam, 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 like responding to me. And I said to Mark, like, there's no, like, I can't give you a reason why this happens, but there's just some intuitive link between you and your baby. And I'm like, how is my baby reading my mind?
Yeah.
But it's so cool. Like, it is otherworldly being pregnant and getting that experience. And I know Bodhi has often said to me, oh, I feel really sad that I won't get to experience that. That must be the best. What does it feel like? What's it like? It is. And I was like, it is, apart from like being sick and all the things and sore hips and sore legs and waddling around. Oh my God. I was like, Sarah just spilled something down her top.
It's my, I didn't realize I didn't screw my water bottle.
Oh my God.
Like, why is there
water? It looks like
everywhere?
You have a leaky tit. But I was like, it is, apart from, you know, the physical side of things, which can be exhausting and can make you feel sick and all that, there's nothing more magical. There's nothing that makes me feel closer to source and spirit than when I am pregnant. So when it's those last few days, it's like,
it's hard. It's hard to like, okay, so like, here's where I'm at. So I like had been saying to myself, yes, like who knows, like maybe the baby will come on Eric's birthday or like a few days later, or, you know, I was like thinking about our summer and like the kids and the timing and like, you know, I don't know the timing, but I know baby already knows baby's timing, right? So it's, you know, for me, I was like, well, we'll see. And it's quite a few days passed when I thought maybe baby would make their way through because maybe they wanted to show up for Eric's birthday or like whatever. But I'm also like totally used to having to just like let go and be like, all right, well, didn't happen that day, so I guess we'll see. I'm also someone who gets a lot of like pre-labor, like prodromal labor and stuff. You know, it's just like the way that my body works through positioning and dilating. And my doctor came over yesterday and was like, just wanted to kind of look at positioning and see where baby was at and everything, just because I've had so much on and off labor. And she's just awesome and very hands-on. And so she was like, it looks like baby's like still has like a lot of room, like, you know, baby's like moving around and stuff. And so, but she's like, the positioning looks like we're in a good spot. And she checked me and I'm more than 5 centimeters dilated already. And
that almost gives a false sense of when labor's going to start.
I mean, because like 6, 7's like starting of transition.
Transition
right?
is, like 7.
So you're like, the lead up, you know, is but like.
I love that because whenever I've had that, which I also I also present with prodromal labor a lot. Yeah. I'm actually moving my camera up because I'm not wearing a bra and my boobs look so floppy on camera. I'm like, ew, I'm wearing my pajamas. Like, who wants to see that? I'm just going to cut that off.
It looks like we're wearing the same sweatshirt.
I know. I'm wearing marks. It's actually quite cool. Here. So the prodromal labor, I remember at the time when I was waiting to give birth, I would like message my birth team and be like, yeah, cool. So it's been, you know, every 8 minutes and I would start the labor timer.
Yes.
And then I would do that like every day at different points. And I'm like, oh my God, none of this is getting closer. None of this is longer and harder.
I know. And that was happening to me like last week. From like 3 p.m. until like the next day, it was like every 10 minutes. I was having a contraction, you know, that was a mild one. So it wasn't like getting stronger and it wasn't getting closer together, but I was having them. So I was like,
you're like,
there's definitely stuff happening.
Well,
but,
I thought it was going to be June 4th because I had this crazy dream. And in the dream, I had like boy-girl twins in the dream. And then they both came out, but then suddenly it was like one of them disappeared. It was like, it just disappeared. And I was like, now I've only got one baby. Okay, I just gave birth to 2, but cool. Now I've got one baby. And then the baby says to me, tell Sarah June 4th. And I was like, oh my God, Sarah. And I messaged her and I was like, baby wanted me to tell you June 4th. And I interpreted it as though like one of the babies disappeared and then my baby turned into your baby, which then gave me the message. And I was like, I'm definitely right. It's definitely been June 4th. But then you actually had quite a lot of prodromal labor that day. And I was like,
I did.
My God, I'm a witch.
I know. I thought that was going to happen too. And Winter really thought it was going to be June 2nd. Mm-hmm. And then, and I don't know. I keep kind of like smiling at it all because I do feel like this soul specifically has had a very specific time of when this soul is going to come in because I've had multiple losses. We've been waiting for, you know, I spent so much time in this sort of like waiting place with this baby. Someone was writing me this morning, we had Christina on, Christina Life Spiritual. So Christina wrote me and she was like, yes, she was like, souls are so interesting when they come in. It has to be the perfect time for them because of how their stars and time will align for their purpose. Everything from their name, their star sign, their time of birth, all of it, it's all for a reason.
Wow.
And so I was like, I was like, I'm trying to just like let go and be in the flow, you know, because I'll say out loud, like, okay, I surrender, I'm letting go. Like, it's hard because I'm a person who loves like to know a surprise. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't like hold on to, if I got you a gift, I want to tell you about it. Right. So, and she's like, and for you, letting go of control, your mind needs to surrender and visualize it. Just like you're clearing it. Just imagine like a beautiful sunny day, hold that in your heart. It'll help you to release and help you with hip release and like everything. And so I was just like, okay, I love this. Thank you so much. She's been so wonderful because she is Christina Prokos. She's the inner child guide, shadow alchemist.
We've had so many cool people on the podcast. I know,
she's so cool. She was writing me the other day about it, and she told me a couple of things that were just so cool. She was like, "Oh, your baby really loves when you're like releasing your hips on the ball." And I was like, I just started doing that because Teresa told me to. And I was like, it's been helping me so much.
Figure eights, baby.
I know, the figure eights. They've been so good.
I like full grind. Like I'm like riding my man. I'm like, on the ball. I
started using the birth sling.
Yes.
And I've been like, because my OB was like, oh, I love this idea of the birth sling. She was like, show me how you're using it. And so I showed her. And she was like, oh my gosh, this is such a great thing for you to do. Just like even to like stretch your hips out and your, it kind of helps you to like lean forward and let baby just kind of like hang there in that really good position where it's like, if they can get around.
Where do you hang that? Because I was trying to figure this out the other night. Like, what do you hang that on?
Do you have yours yet?
No, not yet.
You're getting me one. So there's a thing where you put it over the door, like, and it like, it's so easy. Like you just flop it over the door. You can do it at the hospital. You can do it at home, whatever, and then shut the door. And then it's obviously don't want anybody opening the other side of the door, but then you're set, right? So you can like be on the ball with it. You can like hang from it with your arms. You can like put it around here and like lean forward, and you're just sort of in like zero gravity, like it's kind of floating.
How good is that?
You can do lunges with it, whatever. If you don't have a proper door at your home and you need to, they have a mount where you could just like screw a mount into the ceiling and hang it from there. But I have like 2 doors that work.
Oh my goodness.
So I've been using that.
So good. It sounds good even now.
Yes. Like, no, it is good even now because if you get into it, and I will put up a picture of me doing it because I'll definitely be using it in birth, but kind of putting it right here. And then when you lean forward, you can just kind of like do that like runner's thing where you're like working out your hips and like stretching into them. But your belly is like forward towards the ground really nicely so that you are in this like held position instead of like being back where they could go into like a not good position, you know? So.
Oh, that's so cool. Another thing I've been seeing that a lot of people have used is the counter pressure with the comb in the hand. I don't think I've ever done that before. People hold the comb because it does like acupressure in the hand and it helps like bring the mind away. And I was like, oh my God, the comb. And then I started remembering all the things for labor that I had that came in handy so much, which was, I don't know if this is going to be helpful for you or if this is anything that, you know, you'd be interested in. But what I did was I pre-smashed up ice and put it in Ziploc bags and froze like 20 Ziploc bags.
Yeah.
And I guess if you're at the hospital, there might be a mini fridge in your room. I don't know. Or maybe there's like a freezer that they can store it. And then during labor, it was a really good way for me to stay hydrated, but I had something to concentrate as I was crunching the ice. It was just sort of gave me something to do. And so I would crunch this ice from these Ziploc bags. And my friends, I mean, I always labor with so many of my girlfriends around.
Yeah.
My friends all had different jobs. Like one of them was giving me coconut water. One of them was giving me the ice. The other one had the, that's the other thing I had, the cold scented flannels, which you call washcloths.
Oh, yes.
And I had them wet and sprayed with a scent that I could just huff and put on my face. Like that was
so nice.
Amazing. Yeah, and I picked all my favorite scents. And then I had that a part of my labor, which was so nice.
Yeah,
and I had,
great.
2 of them I had in a birth center. So they obviously were storing them somewhere for me and then running and grabbing them.
That's so good.
Yeah. I've been watching so many birth videos lately. Have you been watching that?
Well, I watched the birth story, the anime documentary again. That was really fun. And I've been reading like a bunch of the stories like over and over again at night. And that's been really fun too. Just like, you know, a lot of times when women go into that early labor, then the anime and those guys will be like, go for a walk, go clean your floors, you know? And I'm just like, oh, right.
Distract yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And so a lot of times when I've had this like prodromal labor over the last week, I've just like gone and done something, you know, and I try to ignore it. Like the one day that it was so consistent, every 10 minutes, I was like, okay, maybe this is going to like pick up when I go to bed or whatever. So it was like hard to sleep that night because it would sort of wake me up and then I'd go pee and then I'd go back to sleep. And yeah, I just get so excited.
Yeah, I know. So do I. I get so excited and then I can't sleep.
So, and you feel the like energy of the contraction or the rush, right? So you start to feel the energy of it. And the energy is really like strong and it kind of like wraps around and you can sort of feel it in your butt and a little bit in your legs. And it like almost like feels like warm and it like like not burns, but you know what I mean? Like it's just like a strong energy. And a couple times I've had like a couple of them that felt bigger and I was like, oh, I love this energy. Like it's just so exciting, you know, to like feel it and to look at it that way. And so I keep thinking like, yeah, that's what I want to carry into this birth is that like joy, gratitude, that like excitement for the strong energy and stuff like that. So, but I did have to tell Eric this morning, I was like, I have something that started bothering me last night. It happens every single pregnancy is I start to get a little bit scared of like, what if I have to do this, or this, you know? And for a lot of people,
like if something goes wrong or...
No, like for a lot of people, they elect for certain things, right? Which is great. That's your path and what you want to do. I actually have a lot of fear surrounding like hospitals and surgery and drugs and things like that. Because I'm very, very sensitive to drugs. And so it's not something that comforts me. It's something that makes me afraid. So every time I've been pregnant, I've had to say out loud, like, I'm afraid of this, like, you know, having an epidural, or I'm afraid of like the surgery aspect if I had to have a C-section, or if like baby was breech, or like if something happened and I, you know, whatever it is. And I hadn't really said it out loud yet this pregnancy. And so this morning I was like, oh, I feel like I need to say this out loud. And I got like teary eyed because I was like, wow. It really is something that's like living in me. That is a fear that I need to say because I think like, you know, I have like a inherent like fear of drugs in general because I've had a lot of like family stuff with drugs and then
and your own experiences with you know, when you had that loss that one time and you took the medication and your body really had a crazy reaction.
Yes, exactly. And then Eric was like, okay. So he does the thing he does, which is so great. But he was like, there are so many women that elect for the surgery. There are so many women that get this drug and they're totally okay. And he's like, and no matter what, you're going to be okay. Yeah. And so he's like giving me the information that I really needed, which is like, no matter what, I'm going to be okay.
That's right. And also, I'll tell you, I haven't had one myself, but I've seen one of my best friends get an epidural when I was her birth support person and she had labored for so long. Yeah. And then she ended up getting it sort of right when she was around transition. And the relief it gave her, and also she had one called a walking epidural. Yes. So she was able to birth on her hands and her knees and still use gravity and have this beautiful birth I got to witness. I was the first one to see her baby come out her vagina. And even though there was like the moment of deflation, the epidural went so smoothly and I got to watch the whole thing. And I was like, oh, wow, this is what this looks like. This is necessary in her situation. She was exhausted, and the baby was able to finish the transition and come out. Yes. And I was like, oh, this was a situation where I was like, that was beautiful and totally needed. Yeah. And she was really grateful for it too.
Yeah. And I think that's so important and so great. And I've said so many times to other women who were like, wow, like you did it all naturally and like your babies are so big and, you know, and I'm like, but for me, like the other was scarier. Mm-hmm. Like physiological birth was more like, that was more the route of like, okay, like to me, that just was always
less scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm
like that with surgery too.
Yeah. It's what, I mean, I don't know. It's just like such an interesting, I was like in a lot of people's minds, like that version seems like less scary to them and more supported. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's the opposite. So it's, you know, I'm always like, well, for me, you know, I feel like I always want to explain like, yes, thank you. Like, but I also think it's so brave to go in and be like, I'm electing for this and this is what I want and this is what I need. And do you know what I mean? And I feel like that's such a brave choice as well, because that to me, I could never do that because I would be like, terrified.
Yeah.
You know,
I love that. And I love that everyone has their own story and their own comfort levels. And I'm the same as you. I'm like the idea, because I haven't had surgery before, the idea of surgery is big and scary to me.
Same.
But it's also very natural, I think, during a pregnancy for fears to pop up. And I remember doing a fear clearing with my first birth with someone because I knew someone who had stillbirth, and I was really triggered. And
I remember that.
Then suddenly that became my fixation and that became my fear. Like if it happened to her, it can happen to me.
That's correct.
So I remember having that like very late into my pregnancy, that fear clearing. And it was so liberating. And I've gone through different waves of fear stuff during this pregnancy. Up until like 2 weeks ago, I was still looking up like NICU statistics of if a baby's born at 24 weeks and 25 weeks and 26 weeks. And now I'm 27 weeks and I'm like, okay, so now the baby has 90% survival, you know, and it's just crazy because nothing indicates that I would go into, you know, premature labor. That's never happened before. I don't have any signs of anything, but I'm still looking into it to be sort of informed. And it's just the way that kind of brain works, I think. And same, I've had various things around my upcoming birth. Like, what if this happens? What if that happens? Oh, there was a person walking behind me.
I just saw that. It was so cute.
Hi, Bodhi.
That's why I was like, okay, I have to I wanted to say that on here because also I think it's important to say it out loud and release it.
Yes.
You know, we talk a lot about the way that we manifest and the way that we call things in. And like, I was like, I don't want this like living inside of me and like manifesting its way into my existence when, you know, this is something I'm like, you know, in terms of, and this is part of reading Ina May again, is that in terms of like, what are you holding on to?
Yes.
What is it that's like, you know, is there anything that's coming up for you? And it's always important to like check in on that. Like, is there anything that's coming up for me? And I wrote in, somebody gave me a journal for, along with some like baby things. And I was like, oh, this is really cute. And so like yesterday I just started writing out like the story of this past year and like how long, you know, we waited to get pregnant with this baby and then like how excited we all were. And then, you know, the like went away for the holidays and came back and then we lost our home and we had this shaky time and, you know, and so I was just like writing this all out and I was like, I wanted to like get this story out of me a little bit to just, I was writing to the baby and
that's so beautiful.
And then just saying like, and now we've made this like comfortable space for you. And there's all these like, you know, beautiful things that your siblings are ready to give you and like wrap you in blankets and clothes and all these, you know, and so then I was thinking about like, what else am I holding on to that could possibly be stalling me in any sort of way? And then when I got up this morning, I was like, Eric, I need to talk to you.
That's so great.
I was like, I just have to say this out loud. And, it like brought tears to my eyes. And then he said the beautiful supportive partner thing that, he said. And then like, I was able to go, okay, fine.
Yeah, I guess.
Now I'm good. That's what I need to hear. Like, because the birth that I'm manifesting is like, this like beautiful entrance for this baby in a way that I'm able to like breathe this baby in and like, really lean into like the joy and the gratitude and like be able to show my kids like, how beautiful birth is and just like, just have this really intimate and beautiful experience. Again, an experience that I truly feel is just the greatest gift ever. And so just didn't want anything to be in the way of that.
I think that's so beautiful. And thanks for sharing that, because I think we all have those feelings. And I remember our first midwife.
Yeah.
We had the same midwife saying, if there's anything sticky, any feelings, residual, anything, it will come up in birth and it can stall your birth. And I remember when my first one was like, stop, start. She kept asking me like, is there anything you need to release? Should we talk about anything? And I was like, I don't know, like in the throngs.
And you're also
like,
maybe don't like, maybe let me have a beat. Cause like,
I'm like, I'm still in labor here. And I don't know. I can't think of anything. All I can think about is this. So I just got back from our road trip.
Epic RV trip.
Oh my God. Sarah.
Tell us about this trip.
I could live on an RV.
Unreal. I mean, it looked so cool.
I could live on an RV. Mark and I we are definitely retiring on an RV. Like that's what we are doing. Like we are going to be those people that like in America, I have never done it in Australia before. I'm sure it's great in Australia too, but there's something about America, the little towns and how different each state is, and also just it just is like different countries. You drive through Kansas and that's one specific thing, and then you're driving through Colorado a couple of days later, and then that's like it feels like a whole different country, and then Texas feels completely different to like Vegas. And I was like, this is wild, because I feel like in Australia it all kind of looks quite similar, beautiful and coastal, and the terrain's quite similar, unless you're sort of driving through the middle of Australia, like through the desert. But I was so struck by like the plains. I mean, the flattest ground for so long, just driving straight on these roads. And it's like you can see everywhere. There's just no hills, no mountains. That was through Kansas and then like Oklahoma, bits of Oklahoma.
Wow.
It
Very
was
flat.
It was so flat. It was so flat. And then also the weather was so different in each place. Like Colorado was cooler and then hot during the day and then cooled down again. And then, but like Arizona was like almost unbearably hot.
That's where my mom lives.
I know. I was like, how do people do
they
this?
acclimate. They get used to it. It's crazy because I go there and I'm like, I can't breathe. I always get sick.
It felt like that. And then so what we love about RV living is that it's such a small space and we're all in there together. It's like we're all in this small area and we're bumping along the road and we're cranking music and we're trying to keep our cards from wobbling off the table. We're playing Uno and we're playing Monopoly Deal, and we played Trouble a bunch of times, and we played all these board games together, and we laughed and we pointed out things out the window. And then every time a kid wanted to like get up and use the bathroom or get up and get a snack, Mark could like pull and put his hazards on and everyone go and grab snacks and then run back, and we'd all just be pigging out and like just honestly, it was just simple living. And I loved it. We were just together so much. And they weren't off in different rooms doing their own things because my kids really, really play hard all day together. They're like one unit that plays, and they've got all their specific games that they play together, but it's the four of them really entwined in play always. So that made it really easy when we're at the campgrounds because we'd go to the campgrounds, I'd go off to do laundry, and the kids would all be playing some like magical fantasy game outside, the four of them. And then I also had Isaac with us, and Isaac was awesome. He was really helpful. He was up in his little nook for a lot of the time because he was making music. So he's like really into making music at the moment.
You mean like on a computer?
On a computer.
He was like,
a computer making like beats, like sort of dance tracks. So he would do that for hours while we were on the road, like, and then play us all the song he's just created from, driving from one place to the next.
Nice.
And then every day, what we loved about it was that you would book. We worked with, we didn't work with because we did not get any kind of discount or anything, but we chose Campground of America, which was, they're called the KOAs, because it's a really easy app and you can book in advance and you just say how big the RV is. If you've got
KOAs are like the really nice campsites too, by the way. Yeah,
they're nice. And they're also, the main thing is they're kid friendly. So every KOA is different and unique. So some of them has like an adventure playground and a crazy slide and like a pool. And then other ones has like, they'll have a maze, like an amazing built-in maze. And so you never know what you're going to get, because I would purposely not look at the amenities. I was like, let's just see what weird adventurous thing that this KOA has. So along the road, we'd book the KOAs, but between point A and point B, we always knew that we wanted to find and support a local vegan restaurant. So we would find like the vegan restaurant of that city.
Yes.
And we'd eat there.
Ooh.
It was so good. We went to so many different ones, and I made sure to film it and tag them.
Was there any town that didn't have a vegan restaurant that you stopped in?
El Paso, Texas.
That does not surprise me.
Yes. But, and that was crazy. El Paso was crazy. You're driving along and you can see Mexico. But the difference between your side of this road and Mexico, it's unbelievable. I mean, my kids' jaws were dropping. Mark's like, all those houses that you're looking at there, that's Mexico. Whoa. And this is the American side, and that's the Mexican side. And it was.
Is there like a wall there?
There wasn't. Well, there's a big fence, like a barbed wire fence, but you can see we could see people like out the front of their homes, which were like just people working and talking and whatever. And you could just see it. I was like, I could stretch my arm through and be like high-fiving someone in Mexico. So that was crazy. But that town had no vegan restaurants. They did have.
I'm so not surprised.
They did have one that had a vegan menu though, which was really exciting. I could not believe I found it.
What was on the vegan menu?
It was like tofu scramble and like a vegan avocado toast with like a vegan cheese. And it was probably the least nice place that we went to, but it was still like edible. And then they gave us free vegan donuts afterwards. So like, here's vegan donuts. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much.
Nice.
I did a bunch of research to find all these different restaurants. But apart from finding the restaurants, it was like you'd wake up, it'd be a leisurely morning, we'd cook breakfast in the RV, kids would run out and play on the playground or wherever we were at the campsite. Mark would be tending to the RV. And then it was like, cool, what adventure should we do today? And so we sort of pieced the adventures together. And there were certain things that were so spontaneous. Like we were in this very smelly city. I kept being like, who is dropping farts? This is a violation. Like, you cannot be dropping this many farts in this RV. And I was like, who's doing it? And everyone's like, no one's farting. And usually when someone farted, everyone's like, hee, it was me. And we like knew who the culprit
was
farter
it
would
like
be.
A livestock situation, or was it like a dog food
livestock
place?
It was Dodge City, Kansas, which I feel comfortable saying because it's all over the internet that it's smelly, right? Because I Googled it to be like, is this just a pregnancy thing where everything smells worse?
But like manure, or more like
it's like abattoir. Smell? It was like poo, like cows, poo, death, like meat death. Because it was like where a lot of the animals are killed for their meat. So I kept being like, this is the most disgusting. Who is fart? Someone needs to like drop their guts because this is disgusting. And I kept blaming various members of the family. And then Mark's like, I think that's coming from outside. So we wound down the window.
Wow. And
I was like, oh wow, that is a pong. But then you actually just get used to the smell because I had booked our KOA in that city. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to be sleeping overnight with like, how am I going to do this? Yeah. And we were lolling because I was like, oh my God, where it feels like you're in the middle of nowhere. Like there's no infrastructure around. We pull up to this very much smaller KOA and it's just gravel and like one area where you can do your laundry, which funnily enough, we had just left Texas and our friends at their ranch, the Vanderbeeks, lightning had struck one of their cabins and it was their water cabin. So they didn't have any spare water. So we weren't able to just like do all of our laundry because they also just don't have water there at the moment. They're trying to, they're shipping water in and stuff. So we had so much laundry and that was kind of the next stop we were doing. So I thought, okay, when we get to the next KOA, I'm going to just do laundry for about 3 hours. And I did laundry from 8 till 12:30 at this little KOA, which was gravelly and like hot and whatever. But the coolest thing about this is we totally got used to the smell. By the time we were there, I was like, I don't smell anything. And there was this random, it was like out of a Goosebumps novel or something. There was in the middle of nowhere next to this campground, a huge water park. Like just, what? And I was like, who goes to this water park? So I asked them in the reception, like, what's the deal with that water park with the water slides and stuff? And she was like, yeah, it's really fun. And it opens at 1. I was like, it opens at 1?
That's so random.
I was like, okay. And I just said to the kids, like, let's go to this random water park. And so I said to Mark, I'm like, let's just hit the road a little bit later. It means we'll get in later to our next stop. But we cannot stumble across this water park in the middle of nowhere and not go. Yeah. So we ended up going to this water park and the kids had so much fun. It was the first time Poet has ever been on one of those big water slides. She's 6. So she went in the big blow up with her brothers. At first, Isaac took her up there and she cried and had to come back down. And then like an hour later, she kind of built her confidence back up again. And Forrest, who's like, we call them the married couple because the two of them together are just the cutest, sweetest. They're just so sweet with each other. And he's really loving towards her, like really takes care of her. He put his arm around her and was like, Poet, you can do anything. You're so strong. You remember how strong you are? You're so brave. You can really do anything. I believe in you. And Poet was like, I'm going to go. And she went with Forrest and he carried up their double blow up thing and he held her hand and he took her up there and we kept waiting for her to run back down. And he got her on this water slide. And of course, she goes on and has the best time of her entire life, like screaming, like came out just with joy-filled face, and then went on a bunch more times after that, went back on with Isaac, went on with Bodhi, and it was so sweet.
I'm going to ask a very Sarah question, but was it clean?
I mean, it has to be chlorinated. Yeah. I think like any water park, there's obviously like legislation or that, not legislation, but there's obviously rules that they have to adhere to.
But when you were there, were you like, did it feel clean or did it feel
not only did it feel like clean and fun, because it's sort of in the middle of nowhere, there were actually way more people than I expected to be. I thought we'd be the only ones there.
Yeah.
There were hundreds and hundreds of people there.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So it's obviously a destination that people come to.
It must be.
And it was really so fun. There was a wave pool. I was in my bathers, like running around, having so much fun.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
And there's that big splash thing where the water bucket falls down and it splashes all over the kids.
Oh my gosh.
But the other thing I noticed about this water park versus some of those really massive, the ones owned by the big corporations, was that there were 100 lifeguards. Every single, every ride or water slide, there was a lifeguard in the water waiting for people to come out. And then up the top. And then like 5 meters across, there's another lifeguard in the water.
Yes.
And I was just like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
There's just so many lifeguards everywhere.
They must make a lot of money to be able to sustain that.
That's what Mark and I were saying.
Because that's really expensive.
And Sarah, it was $4 per person to get in. $4 per person. I know. Okay, so everyone needs to go.
Dodge City, Kansas. You get your booties over there. Go to the water park. What's the water park called?
I think it's the Long Lagoon Water Park.
Well, I'm looking
in Dodge City.
Up.
So we are sending people there. But we went to so many beautiful places, like the Gathering Place in Tulsa, Oklahoma was so next level. And so Kimberly and James Vanderbeek had us at their place, which, as you know, we've had Kimberly on the podcast.
Yeah.
She's like the coolest, witchiest. Oh my God, Sarah, I can't wait to tell you some of the things that came up. And she would not specifically sit down to do readings with us. Something would drop in for her about Mark, and then she'd be like, Mark, something's just dropped in, like, am I able to open up the space and like talk to you about this? And he was like, yes. So and it hadn't happened with me, and I was like, oh, okay, she's like, is she not getting any messages for me? Yeah. And then it did, like on almost the last day, she was like, oh, I think I just got something for you. Do you want me to open up? And I was like, yes, please open. Like, I want the portal open. I want to hear everything. And then she sits and she does it we did it for so long. She went through so much of my life and things coming up. And she said the baby name. No. She was like, who's this? And I was like, what? There is a certain thing that relates to my baby name, and it can be smells, it can be whatever. She gave me this thing to put on, and it was the baby name. And I put it on, and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever smelled my entire life. And she was like, yeah, I need to give this to you.
Did she reveal the gender?
She didn't. She said she can't do that. It was so funny. She was like, she doesn't tap into like the gender of a baby. And she can feel like that's not really her work. Her work is like in so many other areas. Like ailments, like my cough, she told me where the cough came from and what it is and why it has had to last this long.
Why has it had to last that long?
Well, it was like a breaking up of old patterns and old stories and things. And it was sort of like an evolution, and it manifested itself physically. It was me like letting go of particular things.
Whoa.
And it was like relationship dynamics and stuff. And she's like, it's a purging. And so it's going to last a long time. You're almost but as she was telling me this, like she was also like physically having the same symptoms that I was having.
Oh,
and was spitting stuff out, and like it was unbelievable to watch. She's so powerful and so incredible, and she's also a mother of 6 children.
I know.
And the way that like having all of our kids integrated together,
all these
little blonde children, we had so many kids between us. It was so next level. We were like, there are 11 children here. Like, what is going on?
So crazy.
Of so many different ages. Like, my boys and Joshua became so close. They were hanging out. And then Poet, Prairie, and Gwendolyn are literally
Gwendolyn is such a sweet name.
Gwendolyn, I love the name. She is a special magical. She has her mother's gift.
How old is she?
She is she just was turning 7 the next week.
Oh,
I know. And her Poet and Prairie were 3 little peas in a pod. Like, they the whole time, arms around each other, like they're soul sisters. And Kimberly and I were like, they have lived a life together before. They're best
so
friendship.
sweet.
And then when we said goodbye, Poet was like on the ground bawling. She like could not leave Gwendolyn. And I was like, were they twins in a past life? Like, it was so heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is just such a beautiful connection. But that was just another amazing thing on the road trip. And then it was just
amazing.
Every experience. And then we caught up with our friends Katie and Jason Bear in Minnesota, and they got to show us their gorgeous
I love
suburb.
Minnesota.
Oh my God, it's so pretty.
Where was the creek or lake or whatever that you were standing in? Because that reminded me of like Idaho and how much I love Idaho. Was that Colorado?
No, that was Tulsa,
Minnesota?
Oklahoma.
Oh, wow.
That was at the coolest place ever. And I'm so grateful to Kimberly and James for telling us about this place. Tulsa, Oklahoma, called The Gathering Place.
The Gathering Place.
And it was, Sarah,
so beautiful.
I have never been to a cooler park. It was like, and I think the story goes that like a billionaire came in to try and make Tulsa, you know, sort of the epicenter of like adventure and fun for like families.
Oh, wow. This place looks crazy.
It's unbelievable, Sarah. The playground, we've never been to a better playground it's not, you can't even call it a playground. It was like a magical wonderland of play. It was like medieval, like there were like moats and this whole incredible modern water play area. And then around another corner, it was like this huge splash pad. And then another corner, it was like a beautiful like lake with koi fish that you can hire paddle boats and canoes down, and then you also swim in the water like it's a beach. They've got a beach there. My kids were so blown away. The slides were huge and through caves, and anyway, they just have spent so much money building the most epic kind of modern contemporary playgrounds that really my 17-year-old was on this playground and my 3-year-old was on this playground. Mark was up there doing it.
You guys just look it up, because I just looked it up and I was like, oh, this is not what I was expecting at all. Because it just looked like you were standing in like a lake or a creek. And so I didn't see like any of the other
my
stuff.
Stories, I did all, like I showed everything because I was like, this is the most magical thing I've ever seen.
I saw that part. I didn't know it was the same thing. I saw that because I was like, wow, did you go to like it felt like you were at like a, you know, like a more like natural version of like a Disneyland or something, you know, like nature version, you know.
And it's free. It's just like in the middle of Tulsa.
It's free?
It's just free. It's a park. It's like a playground.
What? It looks like a place that would make so much money.
No. It's all free.
That's so
crazy. It was
crazy.
just these wealthy people came and like created this place to make Tulsa, you know, a destination that people want to come to. Okay, so you went
from LA through Arizona up to Colorado down
to... we finished in Colorado.
Oh, okay.
We went Arizona and then we drove. Yeah, then we drove through like
Texas.
El Paso. We stopped out. Then we stopped in like Austin for a couple of nights, and then we went up to Oklahoma. Then we went
then
Kansas. Yeah,
did you go through Iowa or did you go through Nebraska?
We did not get through either of those. So we went. How did you get to
Minnesota?
Oh, Minnesota. We flew. So we had to drop the RV. So that RV company, Road Bear, that we used.
Got it.
We had to drop the RV off, if you do a one-way, this is fine if you do round trip and you're dropping it back where you picked it up. But because we're doing one-way, the route has to be approved and there has to be a place another road bear in a city. So the closest place to where we would be, like that side of America, was Denver. Yeah. So we decided to go to Denver and do the hot springs in like Colorado Springs, do Denver, get on a plane, fly to Minnesota to see all of Mark's family and Atticus, one of Bodhi's bestest friends. And then we flew from Minnesota back to New York. And then we got on the plane and we just came home.
Oh my gosh, what an epic trip. Yeah. I mean, that is absolutely insane.
We did everything. I mean, we went to the Mall of America in Minnesota, which you told me about.
That?
Oh my God.
I mean, told you it's crazy.
It was crazy, guys. For the Australians listening, like you won't even be able to imagine what this is.
Yeah.
But the Mall of America is like double the size of Disneyland. I mean, it's unbelievably massive.
It's so huge.
I think they said the car park is the size of Disneyland, just where you park your cars. So
and when it's really cold in the winter and it's like snowing constantly, everything's connected by these like higher walkways so that you don't ever have to go outside. So you could like, which is nice because like if it's that freezing.
Yeah. It was so insane. We were walking around just like jaw-dropping, insane loop-to-loop, like a full theme park inside a shopping center. And then like a water log ride and like climbing things. And anyway, we bought unlimited ride access for all of our kids, all 5 of them. And they just went nuts. Like there was rides for Isaac and then there was rides for Prairie. And then we just spent the whole day there and then ended up at this really pretty little lake and had food there with Katie and Jason and Atticus and had vegan ice cream and let the kids stay up late. And anyway, you guys, this was the best. It was 5 weeks. It was the best. I think it was maybe the best holiday we've had because we packed so much into it.
How many weeks were you on the road trip though?
2 weeks. We got all of that done in 2 weeks. Yeah. Plus we were in New York and we were in LA and we're in Philadelphia.
Yes.
So
the week she was in LA is the week that I had COVID, you guys. It makes my heart so sad.
And also I got sick too. We weren't meant to see each other for whatever reason. But yeah, we will next time we see each other. I'm coming to LA at the end of December and January.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. So I'm going to come and have our last little hurrah in our house because
with your new baby?
With my new baby, and my baby will be like September, October, November, December, like 3 months, maybe about 3 months old. And your baby will be 6 months old, and our babies can finally meet.
We need her to get. We need the baby to get here.
We do need the baby to get here. So,
come on, baby.
Come on, baby. I know mine needs to stay in a little bit longer, and then it can come out.
Yes. No, mine is like pushing the day just to get like a little closer to yours.
Oh my God!
Just like a few more. I just need a few more hangs up here in the universe before I come down.
I cannot wait to get these babies together, Sarah.
I know. Me too. It's going to be so cute.
I just can't. I'm like, are they going to be the same gender or not? I'm so interested. Like, are they going to be opposite genders? Are they going to be the same?
Only time will tell.
Only time will tell. I cannot wait.
Oh my God.
Well, guys.
That is amazing that you had that trip. And
it was the best. And by the way, we're RVers for life. Like this is it for life now.
I know. It's so
We're doing it every year. Now, this is our 3rd time and every year we are doing an RV trip. You guys really are joining us for the next one.
Yeah. No, we really want to. I mean, if only this could have, there was a few trips right around this time. Like we had other friends that were going on a trip too and really wanted us to come. And I'm like, there's no version. I don't even know how I can make that happen. I'm trying to figure out even how I'm going to get to Idaho this summer. I'm like, I talked to my doctor and she was like, by the way, we should talk about this on our next podcast. But, not a lot of people know about how there's postpartum preeclampsia. And
yes.
There's like a 2-week window where you really have to like monitor mom and make sure everything's okay. And,
and
it's
not
like
be sitting upright in a car for 16 hours.
Yeah, exactly. She was like, I really wouldn't feel comfortable with you traveling even by car for like 3.5 to 4 weeks postpartum. So,
well, can you just fly?
No, because of blood clots. Can't fly. Because of
Oh.
Yeah. So anyway, but like RVing, I was like, RVing, I could go like 3 weeks, right? And she was like, I said 3.5, 4.
Oh my God.
I was like, okay, well, let's just play it by ear, because I like really want to get up there because it's just so peaceful and I feel like it's like beautiful. Such a haven. But
I just remembered the funny Bayo thing before we leave.
Oh, so yes. What was it?
If people are watching, do you see how like sore my lips look? This always happens when I get on a plane. Anyway, they're really sore. So without looking, I'm packing my bag today because I'm leaving today for 2 days.
I know what happened.
Without looking, I grabbed my Bayo. I grabbed my Bayo stick.
Oh my God.
That I thought it's called Bareface. Is that the bear? I thought it was Bareface. Yeah. But I didn't realize that was not, the one I got was not Bareface. So it's not clear. Because they're so crusty, I did this yesterday out in public. I grab it out of my handbag and I just do this massive thing all around my mouth, this huge thing. And I really was rubbing it in round and round. And I went like up the top, like to my nose, down to my chin, the whole thing. Cause I was like, oh, my lips are so sore. And it was feeling so good, but I obviously don't have a mirror.
It's the same thing as bare face. It just has color.
But one of them has color. And it's like, it was your dark raspberry one.
No. Did you take a picture?
No, but Mark, thank God I was with Mark because I just put it away and just kept walking like like just walking.
I just peed my pants.
I just was like happily, and then
you didn't see it when you were putting the lid back on.
I literally just like grabbed it out. I just wasn't looking. I wasn't concentrating. Put it all over my face, and then was just walking around. And then Mark's like, "Oh," but didn't say anything. He thought it was a look, like I was going for something. And then Poet looked at me and went, "Ah," and she got afraid and she hid behind Mark and she went, "Ah," and I'm like, "What?" And then she was like, "It looks weird." And I was like, "What looks weird?" And then she was like, why did you put lipstick on like that? And then I was like, I didn't. I got sore lips, baby. My lips are a bit red. And Mark was like, you need to look at yourself right now. Like, just have a look. And I had put it the whole way up to my nose, all the way down. Like, there's just this red crazy thing. And
did you die? Did you start laughing?
I was dying, but then I was like, I've got nothing to wipe. I was trying so hard to wipe it off, and then it was sort of wiping into my chin, and I was like, oh my God, my whole face is red. And I was like, this is so mortifying. Everyone was dying with laughter.
Oh my God, that's so good.
It was such like a pregnancy brain thing. Anyway,
I just peed in Eric's chair.
I pee all the time. My pelvic floor is so bad. I pee like every time I cough, I pee. Every time. I mean, my pelvic floor has been so bad. Whose old dirty water is this next to the bed?
I don't know if I would drink it. You haven't been home in a while.
I think I need to. Anyway, okay, so you guys have been listening
to the Mother Daze.
The Mother Daze.
I mean, maybe you'll see me again in 2 weeks. Just still with this.
She's like, I'm 45 weeks pregnant. And
oh my God,
no.
All right, Daisies, we love you. And we're just going with the flow. We're letting go. Letting
go and leaning into the flow.
All right.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Bye.